Hare Krishna. My name is Vakresvari Devi Dasi, and I live here in Mayapur for already 18 years, since 2000. So it was here when my Guru Maharaj invited me here to help him to take care of his Russian-speaking disciples and devotees under his care. So Prabhuji asked me to say something about myself and then to say something about the activities here, which was done by us like as a part of Mayapur international community, it's Russian community. So I will be speaking about this. So I was born in 1966 and my native place is Kiev, that's the capital of Ukraine. So, and I took to Krishna Consciousness also there, but before, of course, it was like normal way to proceed with a career, first graduating from the school, secondary school, and then the institute, and then I started writing my thesis, but I didn't finish because when I was 21, I met the devotees and I got my first book, and it was Sri Ishopanishad. It was under nice circumstances. I just heard wonderful, so exciting, very profound, like very deep and mysteriously affecting me sounds in the speedway in Kiev. And as I understood after, as I got to know, it was Mridanga. So I saw kirtan, actually, I didn't see first. I just heard the sounds of Mridanga, and it was so charming. I was just walking to the sound, like entering the area of kirtan, and it was amazing for me, as I already heard this many lifetimes before. And before I met this kirtan, of course, I got to know about reincarnation and different kinds of yoga, because I was a seeker of spirituality, and it was my way. Finally, after attending so many schools of yoga and then elevating the consciousness to different spheres by meditation, like this, I came to know about Hare Krishna through meeting the devotees in these wonderful kirtans. It was my first experience of the devotion as the energy of Krishna. It was so wonderful. The effect was like the greatest what I have experienced in my life before. And then in the midst of this kirtan, one lady, one girl, was telling something to the people who was the audience there in this kirtan, and I saw her also explaining on the basis of some book. She was showing this book to the devotees and to the audience, to the people who met there at that kirtan, and I just decided to come closer to it. And when I came, all of a sudden, it was also my first experience in Krishna consciousness, how to get the mercy of Krishna, how to get the mercy of devotees. So all of a sudden, she turned away from me and started running from me. I couldn't understand anything. All of a sudden, she interrupted her preaching, interrupted everything, and just starting to run away from me. And I, of course, started chasing after her because it was first wonder in my life, the effect of my personality on someone this young girl. So I caught her and asking, my dear, why are you running from me? I just want to know what you were speaking about to these people who were gathering there. And she just kind of had this afraid look, like she, after I could understand, she explained to me, she took me as a KGB agent. Like some in her perception, I was looking as a KGB agent. So since then, I was just chasing after the mercy of the devotees to get this mercy and thus to come closer to Krishna. So she explained to me the divine sound of the holy name. She explained to me the teaching, the basics of the teaching of Lord Chaitanya, on the basis of this small book, Upanishad. But that time it was prohibited in Russia and in Ukraine as well, in all countries of CIF. At that time it was prohibited even to have any kind of literature at your house. Therefore, they changed even the title of this book, and it was titled like the Book of Indian Wisdom. It was also very attractive, the title. So, and the fine Gopuram, the wonderful Gopuram was there on the cover page, on the background of wonderful sky. It was like dark blue with a shining sun, and then everything was so like going deeply, penetrating the consciousness. Like just look at this book was just mesmerizing for me. Like this, and I started reading this book, and it took me from 87, I got this book, and then 1 year I was trying to just go through the book. 1 year took to me just to go through, and I made it. Finally, I read this book. It was not so easy at all, but I got understanding, some understanding. It was very approximate. And then I started also, because this girl also gave me the address of a few flats there, where at that time the Krishna Consciousness was growing, and the few centers in Kyiv, and devotees, first devotees in Ukraine, they gathered there, and also inviting their friends and family members and different people whom they were preaching at the streets. So, and I was one of them. So I started attending this group, and like finally in 1 year, I came to Krishna and never left him. So it was just final decision. And somehow they immediately invited me to translate Srila Prabhupada's book in Ukrainian. And it was also my, not first, the second service, because I started as a ashram devotee, as a devotee living in the ashram. At that time in my flat, they asked me to organize kind of ashram of Sankirtana for the ladies. I just started, I just joined the devotees there in Kyiv, and they immediately asked me to organize this ashram there. So we started with the first ladies Sankirtana ashram in Ukraine, and it was in my flat, and I'm so happy that somehow at least small contribution was there from my side to this area of Sankirtana. So I started also as a Sankirtana devotee, first with few Bhagavad Gitas a day, and then finally as we were growing in this ashram, the number of the devotees, like the area of our preaching in the temple also was growing, and finally Niranjana Maharaj announced the first book distribution marathon in Ukraine, like it was 1991, I think. And it was an amazing experience. It was first marathon, and it was very unusual style. We were just putting the book tables there with heaps of books which were piling behind us. So it was a strategy by Niranjana Maharaj, because the book distribution was not so stressed at that time, but he wanted somehow, and he was a GBC in this area, in Ukraine, in Kiev, he wanted somehow to make a weight to this very wonderful preaching through book distribution. So all these girls were accumulating and accumulating and accumulating in this flat, and there's also only 2 rooms were there, all right, and we finally ended with 25 girls in 2 flats, in 2 rooms of this flat, and it also a wonderful experience, most wonderful in my life, very close. It's, living with so many girls in one place, and we just started. Actually, we just were totally new, like brand new devotees who came to Krishna, being mesmerized by him, his preaching, his everything, his wonderful qualities. And then we started our book marathon, the first book marathon at that place. So the tactics, the strategy of Niranjan Maharaj was just to make all these girls be ready early in the morning for Sankirtana, and we had few vans actually which were taking us to different places in Kiev in the subway. So the book distribution area for all these devotees, 25 of us, were in different places in subway in Kiev, and it's amazing. At the first day of Sankirtana, our tables were like 50 meters from each other. It's like the whole subway was packed with the tables, and the ladies who were distributing. It was a wonderful experience as well, because so many came to know about these wonderful books, and the people also were mesmerized with wonderful books and wonderful like teachings which we were explaining to them, giving to them. So, and the book scores like lifted up like immediately. They flied up like from 1 to Gitas in a day before marathon up to like 100 per one table during the marathon. So like this. It was our first book distribution marathon in Ukraine, and since then, like this ladies' ashram became so popular that Niranjana Maharaj continued to invite the ladies from all over Ukraine to come and get this experience of Sankirtana, so that then they could distribute this all over their places in Ukraine. And finally we ended in even greater number of devotees there, with greater number. It was 35 of us already in 2 rooms of this one ashram, and it was also amazing how we were sleeping like this, you know, like tick, 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 very tightly to each other. And the head of one devotee to the legs of another devotee. Otherwise it was just impossible to lie there. It was like the way we were living there, and the first I had to wake up and get up like by 1:30 a.m. Just to give space to other devotees to wake up, and we were waking up also according to the schedule, like number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4. We had the schedule waking up and going to the bathroom, of course, because bathroom was also one for the 35 devotees. So since then I could understand the plans of Krishna on like working on our false ego. That finally it was the greatest strategy of Krishna, just to put us together so that we could really tightly together, like with the combined efforts of each other, work on our combined ego in this place. It was wonderful. Like it was 1 year which counted as 5 or even 10 years in some other places which were not so intense, intensely packed with enthusiastic devotees. I like this. And then they invited me to somehow to come to BBT to start working on translation and editing, and finally producing the books in Ukrainian, Srila Prabhupada's books. So I joined BBT, and it was in, of course, my flat also at the beginning, but then they asked us to go to Krishna's Guards. So in Sweden, we started Prabhupada's book, and also from marathon to marathon, from Sankirtana marathon to BBT marathon. In BBT, they have that's only mode they have, mode of service, that's marathon. From the beginning of the day to the end of the day, that's how they schedule the day, the total marathons through the day. So we were there like me, 2 to 4 months, and it was just packed. We were so effective, so efficient, like a production line, Ukrainian production line, that we managed to produce like 4 to 8 titles of different books for Srila Prabhupada, for the pleasure of the devotees there, and also for book distribution, so that all these conditioned jivas there could get mercy of Srila Prabhupada. And then, of course, we were taken to different parts of CIS as well as Russia as a part of CIS, where our BBT center was traveling. Like the Krishna's got finished, and then we went to Lithuania, and then we went to the south of Russia, to the Black Sea, and it was another center of BBT there. So like for 7 or 8 years I was there in these different places producing books of Srila Prabhupada. And then my Guru Maharaj, His Divine Grace, Srila Jayapataka Swami, Guru Maharaj invited me here to Mayapur to take care of his disciples after the GBC or Russian part of GBC almost collapsed in 1998 after Hare Krishna Maharaj left the movement, and I was his disciple as well. So it was tragedy for all of us, but somehow because we took Bhakti Shastri, we survived. We were taking Bhakti Shastri at that time. So, and after this, Srila Jayapataka Swami, Guru Maharaj invited me here, and he became my divine master. Eternal spiritual master since then. And in 2000 I came here to help him in his office, and started as his Russian secretary here, literally speaking, and so many things we were doing in the office at that time, because I was only Russian speaking devotees at that time, literally speaking in whole Mayapur, probably 2 of us. So everything, whatever was connected to the translation into Russian language, so it was my part. And it was also very intense. Like I just really enjoy, I really appreciate this mercy of Krishna from one difficult, very intense part to another part to another part, and everything was very intense in my life. So I took it as a really great mercy of Krishna. Otherwise, probably I would never become a devotee. Although even now I try to become, but still I'm in the process because of this great mercy of Krishna, because of this intensity.